Hello, this is Ed Keay-Smith from the Business Marketing Show and Online Impact. Thank you for joining us on this episode. And we have a special guest in the studio. Well, technically he's not in the studio, he's on the other side of the world. But with us today, Mr. Tom Breeze from Viewability.com. Sorry, .co.uk. I'm getting it all wrong. How are you, Tom? How are things?
Very good, Ed. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah. I've been podcasting all day, so I'm starting to fall over my tongue. So great to have you on the show. We're going to have a chat about video advertising on YouTube and Facebook, because that is Tom's specialty, and he's been in that space for about 5 years now. So I thought, who better to get on the show to discuss that, because it is a big topic. There's lots to learn, and I think there is absolutely endless opportunity in there currently anyway for advertising. So yeah, thank you, mate, for coming on. You're based in Reigate, just outside of London, which I've been in those areas before a few times. So and I'm in Perth, so we're about 7 hours difference. It's 4:30 in the afternoon at the time of this recording in Perth, which is 9:30 your time, which works out pretty good. Yep. I often have people on the show who are from the US, and we've got often 12 to 15 hours difference in time, depending on which side of the states they're in, which can be challenging.
A whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A whole day. So now I've been in the Google advertising space for 15 years, seen a lot of things, had all sorts of clients, and one thing we've never really dived deep into, we've dabbled with, is video advertising, particularly with YouTube. And I think, as I said earlier, there's a lot of opportunity. So let's do a bit of a rewind before we get stuck into that. Let's find out a bit about Tom. What has led Tom to this particular point in time where he has become the YouTube advertising maestro? So let's go back, say 10 years. What were you doing around 10 years ago, mate?
I was running my first business, and so I trained in psychology, and I used to work with people. So I trained up in psychology for like 5 years, did my master's, and then I trained in many different disciplines, using things like NLP and hypnotherapy as well, those types of practices, so to speak.
Yes.
And I got very, very good at working with people with anxieties, and specifically public speaking anxieties. I was in London at the time and worked with a lot of people, just helping them get to the point where they can feel very comfortable in front of the audience and deliver a great presentation. So did a lot of that for about, must have been 5 or 6 years. And I ran the whole company using Google AdWords. So the good old text ads right at the top of the search results. Got very proficient at that. And this was before the days of display, really, as well. So it was kind of really the early days. And got to know it really, really well. Was running traffic straight from the SERPs straight to my landing page. And it was just like a mini website, really, more than anything else. And I remember having a 7% conversion rate on the page. So people will click, go to the website, and then fill in a contact form to contact me, and I'll give them a call back. That was the extent of the funnel at the time. And then one day I was challenged to put audio on my website, and I thought that would be amazing, because it was all just text and images before. I thought, well, I'll go one stage further and I'll try and put a video on my website. And that was kind of unheard of, and especially in the UK at the time. So I remember kind of creating a video. It was 7 minutes long. I didn't realize that you could actually edit videos, so I had to do it all in one take. So I got very good at saying 7-minute script.
Good practice.
Yeah, precisely. I honestly think that actually really helped for a number of different reasons. Because you really learn your sales pitch really well. And put it on my website, and my conversion rates jumped from 7% to 22%. Overnight. So it more than tripled. I remember waking up the next day thinking, like, the video wasn't that great, but it'll do for now. And then just having, like, my whole email was just kind of loads of inquiries coming through. My AdWords spend hadn't changed. I was like, wow, there's something in this. And Just kept on seeing more and more leads come through. I kind of filled up my diary. I dropped my AdWords spend, and everything was just running really smoothly. And then, because more and more people were asking me about video when I ran these one-to-ones, and then I started doing group courses as well. People were saying, "Oh, how do you do those videos?" And so I started teaching people how to present on video, and then I teamed up with someone who could help me promote the videos with SEO. So I kind of started venturing into the SEO world, and I would be creating the videos, and then my business partner at the time would do all the rankings. We ran that very successfully and built an agency doing that. And then one day the SEO world started changing very quickly, and it was all the kind of hummingbird updates and the
pandas. Yeah,
pandas. That was it.
Pandas, penguins, all the other black and white animals. There weren't any raccoons in there. I didn't hear, which I would have expected.
No, that was probably the next update. And so then one of my clients, who I'd worked with for a long, long time, I saw that his video rankings had dropped off the front pages of Google and YouTube. And so I took the video, and I saw that video ad campaigns was something that was new inside of AdWords. And so I ran the video there, and the numbers we were seeing were ridiculously strong. And I looked at kind of like the SEO world thinking, we've mastered maybe one or two keywords for that particular client. But then with the video advertising, we could have like hundreds of keywords where we'd just be getting huge amounts of exposure. I looked at the team versus I looked at like just running the ad campaigns myself, and the profitability was a completely different game. And advertising was a lot more reliable, it was a lot more predictable. And so in the end, I started working a lot more closely with the client just for the advertising. And then all of our clients, I say all of them, probably about 70% of our clients moved across from SEO to advertising. And that was the start of the new agency, really, more than anything else. That was where we got started with video ads. And now we've got the history of the kind of understanding what works for video from a psychology perspective, what works on YouTube really, really well. And then we know how to run the campaigns really effectively. So we just specialize in YouTube. We don't do huge amounts on display or search. Don't do really too much with Facebook or any of the other platforms. It's just YouTube. But we know it really, really well. And hopefully I can answer a few questions and give you some guidance and help you out as much as I can with YouTube ads.
Fantastic. Yeah, look, we've got a few questions lined up from a few people. Some people who are in the agency savvy Facebook group, which is Mike Rhodes. Okay. G'day, Mike. Mike's got a question for you. We'll go through that one.
We'll bypass that one, yeah.
It may be a pretty simple answer, but we'll get to that in a sec. Okay. You're worried, Tom, I could tell.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
for very good reason. Mike's an awesome dude. So he's a ninja in this space. And look, it's interesting. I look at YouTube advertising now, and you see if you have a similar thought. So being in the advertising or Google advertising space for 15 years, back in the day when we were running campaigns and getting clicks for 2 cents and 5 cents and, things you just don't see with Google search or even display, sometimes with display. And I think the opportunity is not dissimilar to probably what AdWords was 10 years ago with YouTube advertising currently. I think some of the YouTube's got far more videos than they have ads. Would that be a fair statement? They just the amount of content that is uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis is inconceivable. So they've got all these millions of hours worth of videos that they're trying to put ads on. I think you can get some great opportunities. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that I love YouTube for so many different reasons. One, because it's not that kind of one page of Google any longer, which was where I first started. Yeah. You've obviously got display and things, but it feels like you're kind of having to interrupt people with your banner and things like that. With YouTube, it feels like people are already going there because they want to know something, or they want to do something, or they want to buy something. And they're going there with that intent, and they're kind of leaning in, as opposed to, let's say, Facebook, where they're kind of leaning back and they're kind of scrolling through their newsfeed. You've already got the attention on YouTube, which makes life a lot easier. And loads of people are uploading videos all day. So it means that the inventory is constantly expanding, which is great. But the way in which the ads run as well, and the targeting options you've got, you can kind of turn up and be there at the time when someone's searching for what it is you have.
Yeah.
So it feels like the actual experience of YouTube can be a really positive one for the user. And as a result, it does make YouTube a very different platform. It just means that you just have to look at it differently when it comes to advertising. So the way you would advertise with a video on, say, Facebook would be wildly different to how you might use it on YouTube.
For sure.
And that's the interesting thing about this, is that people look to say, right, what is a good video? And lots of people say, well, it might be engagement. It might be, you might want to get people laughing, and you see all these like very clever videos that are very, very funny. Do those work or not? And we do so much analysis, and we kind of, based on how you want to run your ads, if it's kind of a direct response, a lot of that stuff needs to be kind of ignored. And the approach needs to be a lot more straightforward with the viewer. And that's where you get best results. So it's really interesting. Sometimes people want to create these really funny and clever videos and still do direct response. And it's very difficult to get that sort of campaign to work. So,
Look, some of the simplest ads, and I think you and I are both not associated with, but friends with Gideon Shalwick from VRoll. And VRoll is a fantastic tool to use, I think, for those who are looking at getting into this space and testing some ads. And he has documented quite regularly that a lot of their more simple ads have beaten in split tests very fancily produced $1,500, $2,000 productions. And you've probably seen the same. I'd love to see some of your stats on that. But look, I think getting back to the fact that YouTube is a search engine, and people often forget that it's the second largest search engine, still owned by Google, of course. So I think soon, from what I've heard, it's going to be the largest search engine. It's getting ready to outpace Google search. Is that fairly accurate? Have you heard that yourself?
I think that the way that I would look at it would be that the reason you go to YouTube and the reason you go to Google are different. So going to Google, you start your search there typically. But the search behavior is very much you go to a website, then you probably press the back button, refine your search, go to maybe click on a few other websites, go back, refine your search again. And you kind of go back and forth on Google quite a bit until you find the service you're looking for. With YouTube, the experience is you might not necessarily start on YouTube. You might kind of find yourself on YouTube at some point during the search behavior. But remember, when you go to YouTube, you probably, like, the average session time on YouTube is 40 minutes. So it's a long time. And people go into YouTube watching videos. They don't go back to the search bar. They'll continue to click other videos in their feed. It might be on the right-hand side, or it might be back into the search results and then click another video, but you're staying in sort of one ecosystem of YouTube. You're constantly there. So the actual platform is a very different platform. It's still search, but it has got that social element to it as well. But it's kind of like a place you go and you spend 40 minutes looking for things. And that means that it's probably because you start watching videos, you might be entertained, but you're not getting exactly what you want sometimes. And therefore, as soon as you see an ad that's really relevant, and it feels like it's giving you something you're actually looking for, you're so much more likely to actually click that ad and go to the website. And then it's just a case of, is that customer journey as smooth as possible and as compelling as possible to drive those actions? And that's the really exciting thing about YouTube, is that people are going there, they're staying there until they find something really, really useful, and then they're taking action. So I think in terms of the volume of people going to either Google or YouTube, I'm always interested in that. And I think that it's almost like it's trying to compare two different things.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, YouTube is very, very sticky in terms of keeping people in that. I mean, I spend a lot of time. Unfortunately, I'm one of these arseholes who pays for YouTube Premium. So I don't get ads. So I used to, and I just, I thought, I was not an ambassador of the advertising space, even though I was in it, and I thought I'm just going to pay for the premium. And I'm sure there's a high percentage that do, but you can't do anything about that. You're only focusing on people who aren't doing that. But I think in terms of getting ads that are aligned with what people are watching, that can be a challenge, can't it? Making sure you do that correctly. So in terms of what you do for clients, how do you spend the time working out what is going to be the best format of advertising on YouTube to align with the different videos that are on there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think that the first thing we tend to do when we're looking for clients is just make sure there's a really good audience on YouTube. Like make sure people are actually going to YouTube looking for this sort of information.
Yeah.
There's no kind of keyword tools that we rely upon really at that stage. Just to see if it's a viable product to sell, we'll go to YouTube, type in what we think might be a starting keyword, like a seed keyword or something, and say, right, what do we think their customers will be typing in? Click that and see if there's lots of videos and their view counts as well. If there's I'd say 100,000 plus views on most of the videos, I'm like, this is a viable option. I mean, it doesn't have to be that level. And just like from our agency standpoint, we want to make sure we can scale and have some good traction and things. And then look at all like the sub keywords as well. If there's like more specific, maybe buying keywords, or maybe if there's, we don't tend to go too broad to begin with. We know we can always tackle the broad sections later, but it's more kind of that kind of slightly, it'll be kind of much more search-based keywords, people who are looking for information about a certain topic. If we can get in front of those audiences, then it's a viable thing. We need, when it comes to different industries, we also need to make sure that people are likely to go and want to go and take action on things. So it's the audience for sure, but also it's making sure that the actual offer aligns with what they're looking for as well. So sometimes we kind of consult with the client and say, look, that product probably won't sell very well, but you're in the right niche or niche. And as a result, let's find what other products you might have that we can sell that would work really, really well. So it's from YouTube, if a client says, we want to go from a YouTube ad straight to a $5,000 product, I'll be like, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's partly because when you're running an AdWords account, you kind of want to make sure you have lots of conversion pixels firing, and so you have a lot of activity so you can optimize and scale and then start using some of the machine learning as well. So we tend to look for the ideal product for us is around about $50, anywhere between $30, $70, that sort of sweet spot. Okay. If we know we're kind of pushing traffic to a product like that, and it could be opt-in beforehand, but if we can dial in for the sale of around about $50, then when we have that, what we'll tend to find is the pixels will be, that conversion pixel for that particular sale will be very, very powerful, because we know it's still just like slightly outside of that impulse buying zone, but it's also, so it's a significant milestone that you'll be willing to optimize your whole account around.
Right. Yeah.
And as a result, we kind of like, you're going to get enough kind of activity, hopefully, and also, it's a considerable, if it's like a $7 tripwire type product, then it might be like, well, we're getting a lot of people that aren't that good at quality. But $50 feels like you're getting quality traffic, and then you can let the AdWords account understand exactly who your customers are, and then it will just feed all the AI and the machine learning as you scale up that account as well. So we look for audience, we look for good products and proven funnels and things. And then if the product, because the creative is such a big part of this, we also look for making sure the product has a good story, or is kind of an innovative product. So it's just naturally itself, the actual product itself makes it very easy to put in front of someone, and someone's instantly interested. We can always be very good with the creative and create stories around brands and around products, but it does make it easier if it's just naturally compelling and naturally seems innovative and has a good story to it. It makes life a lot easier from the creative perspective.
Yeah, and in terms of creative, you've got so many variations of advertising types on YouTube, from little 6-second snippets to longer versions. So can you walk us through some of the more popular versions of ads that are run on YouTube? And I would assume that the 80-20 principle is going to be applicable to this. Whereas you're going to get 80% of your results from 20% of the type of ads that you run. So can you run us through those types of scenarios and which formats in terms of whether it's banner or discovery ads that you're using?
Yeah, of course. So we'll tend to run ads in multiple different ways on YouTube. So you've got I mean, the most obvious video ones, I mean, you've got things like the display ads that will be on the right-hand side, like the banner ads and things.
Yeah.
And you'll also have like the lower thirds kind of text ads that come up along when people are watching videos as well. Those are kind of less popular.
Yeah.
When it actually comes to videos, the main ones you have these days are the TrueView for action ads. TrueView ads, I should say.
Yep.
And those are your discovery ads and your in-stream ads. So discovery ads are the ones that appear at the top of the search results, this kind of sponsored thumbnails, and then the ones on the right-hand side as you're watching other videos.
Yeah.
So you have those ones, and those work on a financial model where you pay per view. So if someone clicks to play your video, because they've taken the action of clicking, you pay at that point. Now, that's the discovery ad. The in-stream ad is where you kind of are probably used to these pre-roll ads that you have to wait for 5 seconds before you can press the skip ad button.
Yeah.
Those ones, it's the same model, pay-per-view, but what they consider a view as someone who watches past 30 seconds or decides to engage with the video by clicking. So you kind of, if your video ad ran for 29 seconds and then someone presses the skip ad button, it won't cost you anything.
Yeah. Very good point.
So it's you can get that immediate branding, which is great, but also the way in which you want to structure those videos is you need to be quite careful about how you structure those videos. So those, we'll come back to that in a second if you like, the in-stream ads.
Yep.
On the 80-20 principle that you talked about there, I would say 80%, if not more, of the campaigns we build will be in-stream ads. That's where we get most of our traction. Discovery ads, the ones that appear at the top of the search results on the right-hand side, are fantastic for remarketing. So if someone's come to your website before or watched one of your videos before and you're building lists of those people, it's great because you're just omnipresent. You're constantly there with that thumbnail. They can keep on seeing your kind of like the logo or your face or whatever you're promoting. It's great to kind of constantly have your thumbnail there because
that's a good point.
You're everywhere, which is great. Then the other form of ads is you got bumper ads, which are those 6-second ads. We played around with them a little bit. We need to still do a lot of work to master those. We don't feel like we've kind of got to grips with those completely. Right. They work on a CPM model. So kind of you pay on a cost per 1,000 impressions, and you can build remarketing lists off them and then retarget those or remarket those with other ads. So you can have like a 6-second trailer and then have a longer video afterwards that can, that's what we're testing recently with some good results, not outstanding, but some interesting and good results. And then, so you have those 6-second ads. Then you have like the ones that are slightly different, which is where you have the ones you can't skip, the unskippable ads that are normally 20-second spots. Yeah. I think they've phased out the 30-second spots now. We don't use a whole heap of those because we tend to just focus in on in-stream ads as like our main go-to. But as soon as we get great traction with clients, then we start testing out everything. But we normally start with the in-stream ads to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's important because anything requires a lot of knowledge to get started in terms of setting up videos and video ads, etc. I think a lot of people get hesitant and put it off because there's so many options of what they could do. So I think it's important for people to have two or three options to start with and not try and spread themselves thin with trying to get every single aspect of YouTube advertising sorted. So it was good that you pointed out those couple of core ones. And then you can expand it. And so even professionals like yourself, you're not necessarily using every option that's available. You're using the core items in the toolbox.
Exactly. And the big thing about this is that something we discovered maybe about, I can't remember when, a little while ago now, was when we were running our accounts and our campaigns, the structure was it needed to be different. So if you're used to classic AdWords, then what you tend to do is that you would build your ad group and then you run multiple ads to that ad group. So you might choose your targeting and run multiple ads to split test loads of different image ads or text ads and see which one's working best. Yeah. When you do videos, it has to be a very different mindset to it because the video carries so much more weight, carries so much more kind of power to it. It's not just an image ad that's glanced at or a text ad that's briefly read. This is a video where someone's going to watch it for 90 seconds, if not longer, and really get an experience of what the brand is all about. And as a result, because it carries so much more context, then we found it much more powerful to then almost flip it. So say, right, the ad group is saying, this video we're going to, or even the campaign level, we say, let's build a campaign around this video. So we'd have almost like one video, multiple audiences, and work out which audiences work best for that video. So it's just a slightly different flip in the way that we run the campaigns. Because if I was to say to a client, right, create me 43 videos in multiple different formats, it would never happen.
Yeah. No, that's a huge.
We have to give them we have to say that here's your one script, or maybe 3 or 4 scripts, and they might give us 3 videos back. And it would be much more advantageous to say, let's create almost 3 different campaigns with the same targeting, with one video in each, rather than one campaign, one ad group, or multiple ad groups with the same 3 videos in every single ad group, because you just can't see what's working effectively. Because if one ad works with one audience, let's say for one demo and one age group and one gender and one household income, or you can't see how that video is performed with the permutations of the audiences. So it's much easier to say, put the video by itself, say that's the experience I'm getting in front of people, and now let's see who that resonates with and work it out that way. It's much more powerful and you get much better results doing it that way.
That is a great tip. Yeah, that can be an absolute time saver, I'm sure. So look, we've got some questions, as we mentioned earlier, which I'm going to just have a look at now. You're laughing. You've seen them. I've copied some of these through to you. So
I haven't seen Mike's yet. I'm worried about Mike's.
I left Mike's off. I wanted to.
I wanted duly noted.
Okay, and because you know Mike, you know his sense of humour. So here we go. How does Tom get his hair so perfect?
I'm glad you get to the relevant question. It's a wig.
It's a wig. So that's him being a smart ass. So, but that's okay. Now onto the serious stuff.
Oh, was that Mike's question?
That was Mike's question.
Good. I'm glad.
Right.
I thought it was going to be.
He owes you.
Ask me some real technical question.
No, that's it. So the pressure's off now, mate. If you've seen the rest, that was Mike's question.
Good to know.
So one of the questions we had was, how does he, being Tom, make YouTube in-stream ads profitable? I generate leads and need to get the CPA below $50 to $60 to make a profit. I've barely got 30% return on ad spend from most of my campaigns. Is it all about the creative? And that was from Gabrielle.
Okay, good question. So there's a few things here that will be interesting. Okay, cool. So first of all, we talked about the campaign structure. That might really help, because I feel like you can start to see what ad resonates with what demos, and if you can break those down and see exactly how the campaigns are performing based on all those demos, you'll probably see that like this ad seems to resonate better with males than females, and then start kind of like, not to say you would turn it off, but you just like say, right, we might need to break out those campaigns even further, which might really help. But most of the time when I see campaigns, if you're versed in the world of AdWords, it's not a case of if you know what you're doing there, then it then just becomes the creative. And I feel like we do everything correctly for all the targeting that's available to us as an agency, and then we're left with that's all we've got really. Over time you can train up the pixel, and you can get more and more kind of conversion data going through, and then you can start turning on TrueView for action, which is where you ask AdWords to kind of assist you in your campaigns, and it also helps you scale as well. Yeah. And then you can become a bit broader with your targeting and let Google kind of take over a little bit. That will really, really help and get your CPAs down. But in the early days, creative is so important. I think it's about 80%. It's so difficult to say how much it is, but if you give me 2 pieces of creative, and it could be sometimes very, very similar, what you'll find is that one piece of creative can massively outperform the other, and you're not necessarily too sure why. You might do lots of split testing in order to work it out. Yeah. But you could give me 2 pieces of creative, and one means we're at 100% ROI, and one means we're at 30% ROI, or even at a loss sometimes as well. So the creative does carry so much more weight to it. So there's a few things that we tend to look for when we create videos that can really, really help. So we try and create lots of videos, lots of variations of videos, so that we can be as relevant as possible. So you might say, let's say, for example, you've got for argument's sake, keyword targeting for the time being. You've chosen your keywords that you think that people are typing into YouTube. You've made lists of those and you maybe clustered them together.
Mm-hmm.
Then what I'll do is I'll create the most relevant ad as I can for each one of those keyword clusters as such, and say, great, well, I can't think of an example right now, but like if there's a certain keyword, you create like the intro of that video and try and make that intro as relevant as possible. That could just be like text on a video. So just say, hey, look, if you're suffering from anxiety, public speaking, watch this. Could it be as simple as that? Or you might even say something at the start of the video. And we try and really tell people what this intent of this video is all about. So people just know this is really, really relevant for them. Then what we try and do is before 30 seconds is up, because that's the point at which you pay, you want to make sure that people know this is an ad. So if they know that you've got some sort of call to action in before 30 seconds. The reason being is because if you do that, you're kind of making sure that people know this is an ad, and if they don't want to watch an ad, they can press skip ad button. But if they do it before 30 seconds, it hasn't cost you anything.
Smart.
So we try and put the questionnaires, but also we might find as well that a lot of people are ready to go. They're ready to say, yeah, that sounds like exactly what I want. Click, skip, and click to go to the website. It still costs you for the click, but it means that you're not getting all those people watching past 30 seconds and then not clicking. That's the reason why it can cost so many people money. So people think that engagement's a really good number to look at when it comes to videos, or take click-through rate as too much of an important stat. I don't worry about any of that typically. I tend to look at the traffic that gets to the site and how that traffic performs there. If you know that information, and sometimes you can get really clever with it in terms of time on site. You can have a look at like per keyword or per target group, your time on site, and then your conversion. You can start to optimize a lot more rapidly that way. But I would, if you have that structure of your videos, then you'll tend to find you have a lot better results. So just a few tweaks in the creative if you're already at 30% ROI, which is actually not a bad result if you want to really scale, depends on what niche you're in. Then I'd say, great, well, you're already profitable. Change the or tweak the creative a little bit, and you might be able to get that to 50% ROI. And then you're like, great, well, now just throw a lot more money at it. And then maybe if you're looking for better results than that, you might say, well, now let's look at upsells or what else you can do post sale, because if you all rely on, if they're relying purely on a $50 sale to run that whole business, then there's so much opportunity there to make more money off the back end. A lot of the time we kind of work with clients on a break-even point to say if it's a $50 sale, they just want to have as many sales as possible that break even, because then they just know that they've got huge volumes of new customers coming through who are qualified and who are ready to buy the next big program. And that's where all the profit comes from them, because then it's just break even. And that's the way to hopefully look at it from an advertising perspective. Yeah,
fantastic. That's very, very cool. Now, did we get through all of that question? There was a few components to that. Yeah, I think we did. Okay. The next one that we've given you, best tips for getting people to click through from the video to the landing page. I find my actual CPC from in-stream ads to be $8 or higher when Google search is $2 to $2.50 and display is less than $1. So that's a big difference. There's something going on there with those with those ads on YouTube to be $8. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so I think that's probably falling under the same category of what we talked about before from a certain standpoint. If they're not asking people to click, people won't click. That's one thing. So you need to make it really obvious to people as well where to click, and almost put we hard code in the editing point of the video, or the hard code like arrows to point to the bottom left-hand corner and say, look, click that bit there, and we'll say it in the video as well. So it'll be nice and clear, like telling people. And we might put multiple call to actions in a video as well, just so they know exactly what to do and when to do it as well. I see a lot of people making the mistake at the end of the video, they'll do the call to action and they'll finish the video as soon as they stop talking. So I've done this before, like you're watching someone present, and they're saying to click the video, but or click the link, and you're still listening because you're like, well, you might miss something. So I just want to carry on listening to what you have to say.
Right.
And then they finish talking and the video ends at exactly the same point. So then you're like, okay, I'll click now. But before you know it, it's loaded up the video that you were meant to be watching before the pre-roll ad came in front of you.
Good point.
So
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people probably were willing to click and wanting to click, but they just missed their opportunity to click.
That's that's a bit of gold right there, because that, I think that's I've had that happen myself. So what would you do there? You would have an extra bit of space on the end, that little bit of a gap.
Yeah, so we stick 8 seconds on the end of the video.
Okay.
Yeah, so we kind of typically what we do is we almost put like a really dark filter on the video, and it's almost like as if someone's pressed the pause button. We have 8 seconds of silence almost, and put like a dark kind of like a shadow over everything, apart from the call to action. And so we just like have the arrow be nice and bright, then pointing at like where to click, and just everything just stops and gives the viewer 8 seconds to go and click to go to the website. We just need to get them to have more time to do that. We have played around with countdown timers as well. So we've at the end of the video, we'll kind of count down from 5 just to add that scarcity factor in. And that's been huge for us. That's been a really, really good point to get people to click. So like 8 seconds from the end of the video, we'll start at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then leave another 3 seconds at the end at 0. So you're just like really incentivizing. But 2 things happen there. One, you get far more money clicks. But the second thing that you find that happens as well is that it works on a commitment and consistency basis. So many people are on the fence whether to click or not. And loads of people don't click because they're just like, do you know what, I'm going to go back to YouTube. Yeah. But we haven't seen a drop in sales from the volume of people that click. So if you increase your click-through rate, you shouldn't see a drop in sales rate.
Conversion rates are staying the same. That's great.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in regards to that, then what I'd say is like, obviously the creative needs to be good and it needs to be compelling, and the offer needs to be good, and everything that you would want to have from a good ad will be there. But also you want to make sure that you have the YouTube ad components there as well, like the call to actions throughout the video, right at the end of the video that hold, and just try and call people out at the very start so lots of people don't click away. But I think what they're probably, if you look at your stats, like the guy who's saying this, where they've got like $8 per click, if your view rate is really high, and that's your engagement rate, if it's beyond, let's say 20%, whilst that's good for quality score or good for relevancy score as such, it'll hinder your performance from a cost per click or a cost per sale.
Right.
Our stats show that after 30 seconds, if your video gets a high engagement rate, many people are actually unlikely to click at that point. Okay. So just because you get 30 seconds actually means you're less likely to click at that point, which is really odd. We didn't expect that from the stats, but it's a really consistent line. And the cost per conversion goes up as well. So with those 2 things at exactly the same time happening, it's just obvious that you need to have lots of multiple call to actions and be really clear about it. And don't be shy to be a bit salesy sometimes as well. You can still be classy about it, but just tell people where to click and go and do it.
It is. Look, humans like to be guided into what to do next. So you can't make assumptions that everyone's going to know what to do. So if you're saying the next thing you do is this, it seems relatively obvious, and we're conditioned over years of internet use to do it. It's like people know when something's a hyperlink and it's blue, that, that's a hyperlink. You click on it and it takes you somewhere. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, like, whilst it might feel a bit salesy or a bit crass, or it doesn't feel kind of like, I don't know, you can still do it in a classy way. But the other thing is, remember, the only reason you're thinking that might be the case is because that's the social accepted way to think about ads that are salesy. But you don't, like, it's not like TV. In TV, you might be watching it with like 3 or 4 other people and you'd be like, oh, that was a rubbish ad, or whatever it is. But if you're watching like your YouTube video, you're by yourself, you're alone, and you've got no social pressures to think in certain ways or believe in. And so you'll just act completely differently. It's amazing what people will say they don't like or do like, and amazing what they actually go and buy from. So whilst it might not necessarily seem that, I mean, we try and remove all romance out of video creation. We try and say, well, that would be lovely to do that, lovely to entertain, and lovely to make people laugh. but it's horrendous for conversion. So
it's not a Hollywood production, right? So
yeah,
it has a very specific purpose to get people to take an action. That's the whole idea of the ad. It's not just to entertain. It's great if it has a component of that, but it does need to get people to do the next step. So very cool, mate. There's some absolute nuggets in that one. Now we've got a couple more, and then we'll get close to finishing up and letting you get started with your day, because you're in a different time to me. How does Tom use video discovery ads? I found these even less viable than in-stream ads. That was from Gabrielle as well. So
yeah, so I don't do a huge amount with discovery ads. We do run campaigns with discovery ads. They just don't get as much volume as in-stream ads. Like with in-stream, you can be in front of people constantly as they're watching videos. Discovery is good though from a standpoint of the branding, and also good for conversion, but it won't get a huge amount of reach. So we want to be there when someone are typing in relevant keywords. We want to be there when people are, remarketing is a big one for us with discovery, because you have that like omnipresence. They keep on seeing you everywhere.
Yeah.
And also topic targeting, in-market targeting. We do some affinity targeting there, but the broader you go, the more your thumbnail needs to really call out what that video is about. So you don't want people to click because they're just interested. You want to be people like, so when you create the thumbnail, you want to make sure people can see that and know exactly what that video is going to be about. And so if they choose to click it, they get the material that's actually relevant for them. And so that's kind of an important part of it. You almost want to get a low click to view rate with your discovery ads, because you want to make sure that only the most relevant people are going to click it, not get lots of people and then realize they clicked it, cost you, and then they're like, oh, actually this isn't what I was looking for. So you can, but you probably don't want to create you want to create videos for in-stream and discovery in a different way, because the different ad formats and you pay in different ways as well. So with your discovery ads, if they're going to click, you can engage them, be funny, get them to watch, because you've already paid for it up front. And so then at that point, create ads that do resonate with the audience, get them to love you, and then be very obvious with the call to action as well. So it's just a different format. You're not interrupting people. They're choosing to watch your video. And as a result, the whole structure to it is different.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So yeah, horses for courses. You got to pick the right format for the ad that you're running. So we've got one more. This is a slightly longer question. What are the best industries for YouTube ads? There's a few components to this, so we'll go through that one first. That's a very broad question. What are the best industries? But you've probably, I'm sure you've worked across lots of different industries, so you've probably seen some patterns. So from what you've experienced, what are you seeing, and you're getting good results in what industries?
So it's difficult to segment the industries as such, but we talked a little bit about audience before, so we're kind of looking for making sure there's search traffic for these different industries. Let's say, for example, you sold construction tools, or like big diggers or whatever, or tractors.
We're getting technical now, mate. Well. We've got to be careful. We're sounding like construction experts here. Big diggers.
Big diggers. Yeah, I apologize.
That's all right.
It says more about me than anything else, I think. Yeah. The big digger machine,
that's it. Keep going. Sorry.
Things with a big spade at the front.
Yeah. We've got to have a laugh. We can't be too serious when we're talking about advertising, right? We got to inject some humour.
Yeah, exactly. So with if you're selling those things, then YouTube ads is probably not going to work that well, because there's not an audience for you. Or if there is, you'll be throwing a lot of mud at the wall, and hopefully a sale will come through, but it's ridiculously high level.
Yeah.
If you're selling something really, really high priced and people aren't used to that sort of price, it's going to be very difficult. So in terms of industries, it's tough to say which one works and which doesn't. I love education products because they sell really well on YouTube. And typically if they're online education, the margins are really high. That's a big thing with any advertising, I find, is that margins, I only want to work with the clients with big margins. When there's kind of like, hey, our cost of goods is 80% of what our sales are, it's like, this is not for us. It's like way too competitive, and it's going to be so difficult, that market, that we don't go down that route. So margins, we tend to look for 3x, 4x, or 5x, which really, really helps us. And also it comes down to the client and expectations as well. So we want to make sure we're on the same page as them as we go and advertise. So education, e-commerce at its high margins, and also making sure there's a good audience on YouTube. Service-based businesses can work. We just don't do a huge amount of it. So we've kind of done sorts of things like local gyms. We've done some things for kind of doctors, and we ran some really successful campaigns like plastic surgeons in London and things. That can all work really, really well. It's just that we want to make sure that when we run the ads, we can almost go global. I don't mind going national level, but we want to be able to scale it as quickly as possible and have no capacity issues either with the client. So let's say, for example, you're doing work for a doctor or a dentist or something, then if you start flooding with them with leads, they might not be able to handle them, and that becomes a problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just frustrating because you think you've mastered it, and then it's like, great, well, it's just going to trickle along, and it doesn't help you. No. So the approach that we typically take is to kind of find clients that will scale, but the audience has to be there on YouTube. So education products work really well. Service-based business can work really well on a kind of larger scale, and then also e-com can work really well. But the margins need to be good for e-commerce.
Yeah, definitely. Anything where there's that high margin, you've got a bit more room for experiments. And but yeah, when it's really tight, particularly I find with some e-commerce industries where they've got really tiny margins, there's no room for error, and it's a challenge at the best of times. Okay, what sort of action/funnels work well with YouTube ads?
Good question. So my setup I normally like is something where we're going to sell something around about the $50 mark. That doesn't have to be going straight to that price point. It could go to an opt-in first, or it could go to a content page as such to then sell the product. Some of the best, I love webinars. I love promoting like evergreen webinars. They have to be evergreen. Very few people love, like, YouTube's all about instant answers. So people are going there because they want to have answers. That's why things like book funnels can work, but they don't work as well as they would do on Facebook, because I have to wait for 7 days for that book to arrive. I'm not going to get my answer for 7 days. I'm not as interested. Give me a webinar though, and maybe like a free cheat sheet that goes with it. And wow, I'm in. I'm like, great, I've got my cheat sheet. I'm going to listen to this on-demand webinar right now for an hour. And then you're going to send me something at the end of it. That's cool, because I'm spending an hour with you, and you give me great content, great value. And then there's the next upsell that's logical. So I love webinars. They're really good from YouTube ads. If it's e-commerce products, you've got less flexibility. Sometimes what we like to do is do lead gen first. So get them to go through something where they opt in for information first. It could be like, let's say, for example, you're selling, let's think of an example. I'm just going to find it difficult to think of an example off the top of my head. But yeah, so we sell products. We don't do a huge amount of e-commerce. We do a few products. Okay, so one of the examples is that we sell mountain bike parks, or we've just started to build a campaign out for a client on mountain bike parks. And they've given us the highest performing SKUs and also the ones with the biggest margin. So we kind of like, that makes sense. But instead of going straight from YouTube ad to go and buy it, what we're doing instead is saying, let's just promote the fact that they've got a review page. So you go from the video straight to the review page of that particular product.
Gotcha.
Then you can do a lot of remarketing there. And then on that page, we can say, right, what we're doing is we're selling one of 5 products that they sell, but we kind of can have that independent review. So they just like build a brand. It's like basically building a bond with that brand. So you're like, I want to buy from these guys, and they're telling me which one to buy. I can buy them all on the website, which makes life a lot easier. We tend to try and get the traffic off YouTube as quickly as possible and try and give content there and do whatever you can do to help the viewer. The mantra I tend to go with in my mind is to say that, imagine this being an offline experience. Like, what would you do? It's unlikely you would have an ad to say, go and buy this right now. Chances are you'll be like, hey, ad to come into the store. Let's talk about what it is that you're looking to buy, and then I'll offer it to you. So it's a bit more consultative, and you're kind of helping the viewer as opposed to just promoting something in front of them. If you can go to that route, it makes it a lot easier. So let's say, for example, you were selling 15 different types of coffee machines. You might have a quiz to work out which one is right for you. So you can answer questions and say, great, well, we recommend one of these two. And if you're looking for price savings, go for this one. If you're looking for the top of the range, go for this one. But it could be different. So it just helps people make a decision of which ones to buy. Things like that can be really, really helpful because that engagement helps.
Yeah, running ask surveys or various things like that before they get to that point. So that's very cool. Brendan Tully, who's the co-host of this podcast, who unfortunately could not be on because he's in a different time zone to me. He's over in Queensland, so it's sort of family baby time now for him. But he's going, damn, I wanted to be on. Anyway, so he's a mountain biker, so it was a good example for the mountain bikes.
Very cool.
And we'll finish up on this, and then we'll touch on a couple of things about some of the things you're working on, and then we'll finish up. So what else? He says... this was a follow-on from that question. He goes, he's yet to make YouTube ads profitable. He's not sure if it's because he's promoting the wrong offers or if he's missing something else. So pretty hard to really go into great detail there. But look, I think it's a case of you have to experiment, don't you? Like advertising is an experiment, and then you find your groove and you find what works, and then you start putting more money into that slot machine, and you put 50 cents in. If it gives you $1 back, you'll put in as many 50-cent pieces as you can, or pence, in your example. Exactly.
Precisely. It's kind of like, we kind of look at it as like the audience comes first, find where that would be, create videos for that audience. And then when we come to the actual running the campaigns, we'd say, don't just throw lots of videos at that audience. You now have created a piece of creative that fits the original audience you were going for. So there should be a really close relevancy.
Yeah.
And if you do that, whilst it's not as easy to get like huge scale on day one, you've got that consistency and you've got that reliability in the actual account. So you just know that this is a really relevant ad, and you're creating more and more ads that are relevant with more and more audiences. And if the smoother you can make that journey through to product and make it easy for someone to go and buy, the better. Because then you can just kind of say, right, okay, they're looking for something. They have the perfect ad in front of them with a perfect offer. And you can then look at all the metrics along that customer journey and just make sure it's converting really well. If you have that going on constantly, then you say, right, we've mastered those set of keywords or that topic or that in-market audience or that affinity audience. So great, that's all working really well now. Now let's move on to the next one. New creative. Don't try and just have one piece of creative for everybody. Yeah. That's going to be really difficult to run. Instead, kind of get used to creating more and more videos if it's all possible.
Okay, awesome. Are you finding the cost per clicks with a lot of the YouTube ads still relatively low compared to other forms of Google advertising? Yeah,
so we don't do a huge amount on search and display, and also I don't really pay attention too much to the actual cost per click. So it's it's quite a dip. I look at things differently. So I would very much look at my first metric to look at is cost per lead or cost per sale, whatever the most important metric is that we're tracking. I might look at time on site to keep aware of that. So I'd import that in from analytics. But then before that, then I just look at things like view rates. I would look at click-through rates and have a look at it. But as a whole, I don't necessarily look at cost per click because I feel like that's one of the last metrics I'll look at.
It's relevant. Absolutely. It's completely relevant to what the return is. So if you,
exactly. Yeah.
If it's 5 cents,
if I get a really, really high quality click and it's cost me $1 versus something that's a lower quality click that's cost me 10 cents.
Yeah.
I don't know yet what the actual result of that is. So I just keep an eye on it.
It was more of a question of curiosity in terms of, not necessarily in terms of what the conversions are, just what's actually happening in terms of the cost is an interesting viewpoint compared to AdWords, because I know with quite a lot of ads we're running, again, it's still relevant to what the end result is you're paying $30 a click. So I'm just wondering whether you come across even things like that in YouTube that are that expensive, or are they still relatively low? Because it is a mindset that some people have, well, that's expensive, but not looking at it correctly, obviously. But so
say for example you were in like those spaces where it's like, I don't know, like lawyer type keywords or health insurance type keywords where it's very, very high cost per click from Google, then I would say build a custom intent audience of all those people that are searching that information and then run YouTube ads to that audience, because first of all, you're going to get an ad in front of those people when they do get to YouTube. You can have a very, very cool looking ad that makes them feel like, wow, that's kind of what I've been looking for. It might not be instant, but it might be within the same few hours or kind of the next few days or something. They're going to see your video ad. And then that cost per view will be very, very low, or you can decide how much you pay for that, obviously. And then your click-through rate will determine how much it's costing you. But I reckon you can get a click for probably $1 or something compared to $30. Bringing people from the Google with custom intent audiences to YouTube and then running ads to them there, you'll probably find you actually have a cost per click that's just much, much lower. But also you've got all that branding in front of them beforehand as well. So it feels like they've already got to know, like, and trust you before they even get to your website. And then that's only cost you $1 to get them there. It's a very worthwhile exercise sometimes.
Yeah. Comparing the two different platforms for sure. I think that's a great tip. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's just quickly talk about some stuff that you're doing. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you have a new course coming out. Is that right? In October?
Yes. So 10th of October, we release it. It coincides at the same time as this book right here. So I've written a book about YouTube ads called Viewability, the agency, and name of the course and everything else like that. So it's short enough to read on a plane. You can probably see the width of it.
That's about 186 pages. How many pages?
Yes, it's 147 pages.
Okay, so I was a little bit off. So it was a bit of a guess.
You're saying you can't count them that quickly?
No, I can't. I'm just looking at my wife's book. So we're going to plug books, you see.
Oh, there we go. Okay, make your move. Nice.
Make your move. She's a career consultant. So I was looking at the thickness, and that's about the same. And hers is 194 pages. So anyway,
she's got more to say. Yeah,
that's it. But that's fantastic. So that book is it's not out yet. It's coming out, correct?
It's not out just yet. So it's been published and it's all ready to launch. But it's being launched on the 10th of the 10th. Strategic move that because we do dates the wrong way around compared to the States. So we do 10th of, like, if it was the 9th of October, we'd do 9/10, and then
we do it the right way. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we do it the right way. Yeah.
Americans who are listening, unfortunately, you've got your date system completely wrong. Hopefully that doesn't alienate too many Americans, but it's the day, then the month, then the year. Just saying.
Yeah,
anywho,
exactly. Yeah.
We've got.
So I thought like 10th to the 10th would just like eliminate all those problems.
That's a smart move, mate. That's very clever thinking. I like your style.
I'm very empathetic like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Keep
so we're releasing the book and then the course on the same date. So right. Yeah, we're introducing more of like, so we've just been agency for a while. We have done some training products in the past, but now we just upgraded everything. So we've got the book and the course that will kind of tie in together, and it's just starting to open up the more of the training side of the company as well. So that'll be exciting. It's a new venture for us, so I'm sure we'll have some teething problems as we go, but we know the content's good and we know that people should get very good results. We've had a few beta people go through it so far, and they've been loving it. So that's all positive. And we're not going to do one of those big launches. It's more going to be like we're looking to build this as an evergreen thing. So I really feel like this was something that wasn't in the marketplace. There's no good courses out there on YouTube ads. So,
I agree.
I feel like we can change that a little bit, I think.
If you need another beta tester before you launch.
Oh, sweet. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Let me know. So that's great. So that's coming out now, is because a lot of launches are done in an affiliate style. So there's promotions done. Is that something you're intending to do, have affiliates for the program, or is it just going to be purely yourself?
So we're going to have some strategic partners, not necessarily affiliates as such. Like, I think when I look at the affiliate stuff that people tend to do, I'm always a bit dubious about putting my brand out like that. So
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be like a few people that, let's say, for example, yourself, I'd be more than happy for you to promote it because I feel like it would be a decent promotion put behind it, and it not necessarily like in volume, but it's just done in a classy way. Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of looking for.
Thank you for calling me classy. I don't think I've ever been called classy before, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. And so as a result, like, there's going to be like those strategic partnerships where it's like, hey, look, if you want to get a kickback for the stuff that you send our way, great, we'll set that up. It's not, we've got the capacity to do it, which is great. And, but we just want to make sure that we don't go out there and be like, hey, affiliate world, let's go promote this like crazy. We're just not geared up for that sort of promotion. So, and also we're very protective of the brand and how it's all done. And we don't have huge amounts of experience about how to manage hundreds of affiliates, even if they wanted to promote it. So,
double-edged sword.
Really good at ads. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Well, if you're looking for anyone who's good at doing YouTube ads to promote your YouTube course, I know someone. Oh, look, there he is. He's above me.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, you got to walk the talk.
Yeah, funnily enough, YouTube advertising is like one of those things that people aren't looking for right now. So there's not a huge amount of search. Much easier for me to actually advertise on Facebook. So it's,
ironically.
Yeah, ironically, yeah, I know, it's really weird, right? So we'll be running the ads on YouTube as well, but we'll probably be focusing much of our spend on Facebook, and all those people that are running agencies or are kind of all those people that are kind of interested in promoting their own businesses are much easier to get in front of on Facebook sometimes than it is on YouTube. So yeah, it's interesting, but we'll make sure that we kind of contain all the links and stuff. We'll send you
We'll get that set up. We'll put it in the show notes of this episode, so when people are listening to it, are you able to share what the price of the course is at this moment in time, or is that still being worked out?
So we're still just working out the final pieces of that. We've got some. There's lots of components within the course. We've got like tools within it, and we've got and we just want to bundle it all together and just have that. But we're umming and ahhing about whether we include other bits. So we'll once we go live and launch, I mean, there'll probably be an early bird sort of price as well to incentivize people and things like that. But not sure what that all looks like just yet. We're kind of got just less than a month to get that all tied up and get it all sorted. So
fantastic. All right, we'll update people once we've got that information from you, mate. That's fantastic. So look, we have taken up your time enough now, so we'll let you get back to your busy schedule of getting all this stuff sorted. Great to have you on the show, Tom. It was.
Thank you so much, Ed.
I've actually been following you for several years, so I've never really reached out to say hi. I've just sort of watched from a distance, and of course, Mike Rhodes has always talked highly of you. So if it's good enough for Mike, it's good enough for me. Yeah, cheeky bastard. Cheeky. But I did laugh when he asked that question. I thought, yeah, he's of all the questions, of all the gin joints. So thank you, mate. We'll speak to you again. We'll maybe have a follow-up down the track. We've only just scratched the scratch of YouTube ads. You've certainly handed out some nuggets to people who are listening or watching. So thank you very much for that. And good luck with the book, and good luck with the course coming out on the 10th of the 10th, 2018. Thanks again. And thanks for listening and watching, everybody else. Thank you. Bye for now.